essential. I think you misunderstand the meaning of the word.
The state of Utah has now seen its first death.
Governor Herbert gave a series of directives. Spencer Cox will lead that task force,
mandating which businesses need to close and which are considered essential.
Being not essential. I teach history and literature. Since when it's not essential?
I saw the small businesses that were going to die. I saw how much depression we were going to see as like a country. When you start isolating people, we weren't meant to be away from each other. I get a phone call from a few of my friends that are still on the police department, and they said, Eric, the mayor has set up a snitch line.
We can mandate it by law.
So what do you mean? A snitch line. You can call the police if you're not social distancing, because neighbors are now calling on their neighbors. So I called the snitch line. I recorded myself.
Salt Lake County Health Department, this is how can I help you?
There's kind of rumor that there's going to be a social distancing rally next Saturday.
But I need to turn somebody in.
A former Salt Lake City police officer that's going to do it.
Get in touch with them and make sure they know that they can't do that.
Okay.
I immediately knew the first thing that we had to do was gather. When I was driving up to that rally, I remember I was scared, because I texted one of my buddies on the police department, and he said, I heard that Chief Brown is going to arrest every person there. Which, that's a big deal. It's like you get arrested, but then I thought about it, it's like, no, this is our First Amendment right under any circumstance, and so we're going to challenge it. And I believe when you challenge, like when they start to come down and you challenge it, they now have to make a decision. And if you don't challenge it, they're going to continue to gain ground. Does that make sense? It just keeps coming, and pretty soon your challenge is now down here, and your rights are already taken.
Hundreds of people plan to rally in downtown Salt Lake City tomorrow.
Ignored Utah's stay-at-home directive.
Former Salt Lake City police officer is the one behind the rally.
Mass gatherings are our biggest enemy. They're her biggest enemy.
Small business is the lifeblood of this country. We are open for business today. We have to let them know with our voice that it's we the people, not they the government.
COVID-19 is not a virus. COVID-19 is the disease caused by the virus. The name of the virus is the SARS coronavirus 2 or CoV-2 virus. So when you do a nasal swab, you're not testing for COVID-19. COVID-19 is a clinical diagnosis of a respiratory infection caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus. If you come back with a positive test for the virus, it does not mean you have COVID-19. And the CDC has allowed that to happen, which is interesting because there is only a diagnosis code for COVID-19. The CDC formalized that on April 15th when they issued a letter to every doctor in the country telling us that anyone who has ever had a positive SARS-CoV-2 virus and subsequently dies, we are supposed to put down the diagnosis code for COVID-19.
How did that make you feel?
I couldn't understand why they would make an administrative decision that goes against medical knowledge, that goes against every directive that we had. Even if the doctor doesn't put that on the death certificate, the CDC made it clear that they would retrospectively add it to the death certificate.
Even if you, the doctor, didn't mark it down.
The CDC said, we'll do it for you. Well, we don't have a time limit. So you could have had a positive test, been in the hospital with COVID-19 in March, and you could be walking down the street and get hit by a drive-by shooting and die, and we'll still call you a COVID-19 death 5 months later.
Tonight, the U.S. is on the brink of 200,000 deaths from COVID-19.
180,000 plus deaths are real deaths.
There are 100,000 people in the tally of COVID-related deaths that didn't die of the disease COVID-19. In Utah, we have certainly had nothing that has come close to overwhelming our healthcare system. We have had plentiful excess hospital beds. We've had plentiful excess ICU beds. Still redeclaring a state of emergency where no true state of emergency exists. People sometimes take that statement from me and think that I must be a virus denier. Not a chance. Let's look back at swine flu. We had over 60 million Americans test positive for swine flu. If we had used the same criteria with swine flu, then we would have nearly 500,000 swine flu associated deaths. Okay, but we didn't do this table this way. Okay, I'm not denying that there is a virus that's bad and is killing people, heavens no. But is it 183,000 people? No, it's not 183,000. That's off by a whole 100,000 at this point.
And after that first rally, I felt hope.
As a small business owner himself, he started the Facebook group Utah Business Revival, which now has thousands of members.
It's not that you don't believe that COVID-19 is a threat.
It is lives versus many more lives.
And the idea was that we were going to help save small businesses in Utah that are getting crushed, these non-essential businesses. And I saw small businesses coming to a certain area that we were going to work with certain mayors, either directly or indirectly, and they were going to come, and we were going to come in thousands and help save them.
This would be a terrible crisis to waste, as the old saying goes.
Are there those who are trying to get control and using the COVID-19 hysteria of a pandemic as the justification for it? How do you tell somebody that their business is non-essential? What you're saying to them is the means for you to provide for your family, to be able to take care of them, keep food on the table. You're being told, we're going to take that away from you.
Come with me. I am an essential worker. Essential worker.
You're not needed. You think about the Papers, Please that's depicted in so many movies that controls people's travels and who they've been with. It's now being replaced with, do you have this certificate showing a clean bill of health? Let's make sure that we check your temperature each and everywhere that you go. When everybody, whether they knew about it or not, gets tracking software inside of their digital devices.
Utah is launching a new app. It tracks your location
to help pinpoint where you are and where you've been.
And even realizing that that can be turned on by government mandate at any time. And these are by people who clearly don't have the authority to control all aspects of their life. They're saying, we now control it. And resistance seems to be something that's going to be met with a lot of force. People are being trained to tell on one another. And what are the crimes, the so-called crimes or infractions that people are calling in about. Sometimes it's worshiping together, sometimes it's having a family gathering, sometimes it's having a barbecue. And when people are being trained to be scared and suspicious at all times, where little children are being told, that person isn't wearing a mask, and now we're scared of healthy adult citizens simply showing their faces in public, a lot of propagandizing to raise the amount of fear and make that the new normal in the country. If we're always asking somebody else for permission, we don't even think that it's our choice. Stop asking permission, live your life free, and recognize if I want to be free, it is my duty to live free, even in the face of those who would say, we require this action or that action, you have to wear a mask, you have to get permission, you have to show your biometric screening, you have to get a vaccine, you have to show proof of this and of that. At some point you have to say, no, I won't participate. We're at an impasse.
I called for any mayor. If there was any mayor that was willing to step up, Mayor Julie Fulmer stepped up of Vineyard.
Eric said, would you mind if I invited our followers to come support your event? And I said, everyone is welcome.
Mayor Julie Fulmer says the city is planning an event to support local businesses on Saturday, May 2nd.
Dear Father in heaven, I begin by thanking you. Thank you for this amazing country. You are the giver of every good and perfect gift, and that means that every good that we have in this country is owing to your gracious kindness. We are profoundly blessed to live in such a place as this. Today I ask for your blessing on the business owners in our community, the public officials who represent them, and for all those who are here with us today. For the business owner who is facing uncertain times, I pray that you would remind them that all times are uncertain, and you alone are an unshakable rock. Help them get back to work that they may care for their families and serve their communities unimpeded again. Provide for them in all their needs, for you are the great provider. Teach them to have faith in you, no matter how formidable their situation may seem. Give them peace that can only be found in your Son, who is himself the Prince of Peace.
Thank you for coming and supporting our small businesses.
When free men shall stand.
You never make decisions out of fear, ever.
I'm talking about the people whose livelihood is ruined because we've shut down society. I'm talking about an 800+% increase in calls to the suicide hotlines.
This tells the politicians what they can and can't do.
Anything that government gives you, government can and will take from you.
We do not snitch on our neighbor. That's not what we do in America.
Let's teach good principles and let people govern themselves.
What I'm afraid of or scared of is 30 million people out of work and businesses will never reopen.
Who gets to decide if your business is essential? We do!
In our DNA is the idea and understanding of freedom and independence and opportunity to go out there and produce, and that's what we do best. So I want to thank my good friend Eric Moussos, the Greek freak right here, true patriot, who's organized this for us. So now we have to free the market. We've got to get it open. There's an old saying that a ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what it's built for. A lot of people think that our businesses are safe when they're shut down, but ladies and gentlemen, that's not what they're built for.
Is there anyone out there more liberal? We have a liberal here.
It's not us against each other, it's us against oppression.
That's it.
I think all in all, probably 4,000 to 5,000 people showed up in Vineyard because we had at least 5 or 6 food trucks there. And some of them were selling over 500 plates a piece. We had 22 Utah elected officials show up, which was, the media went silent, you know, because they saw that we were starting to gain some steam. A lot of those booths, after a lot of the people after the event, were just in tears. Some of them were so thankful because they could now pay their bills.
I'm so grateful to the Utah Business Revival. This is what we needed. We all have rent to pay and on our mortgages. We needed to have income.
It's gone really downhill with everybody not working, and this has helped my family so much.
It went really well. A lot of people are super happy.
We love being here, and we are excited to get Utah back running.
We were busy consistently the whole time.
That's awesome.
A lot of people were really desperate for nails.
Yeah, everyone wanted their nails done.
We were just looking at a way to create some cash to get up and going again. And we had a good, successful day.
And this has been the first real opportunity that we've had to come out and sell our goods, and so we did well, and we're very grateful for that.
It was awesome. People were coming in, but not just browsing, not just buying one or two things, they were buying a lot of stuff. So you could see that they were making a conscious effort to really just make businesses pop back.
It's just been, a great special blessing for all of us.
It's 4 o'clock and we've had 400 customers, so it's an awesome day.
I just had to tell you thank you! The governor and all these politicians who crave power are crushing the little people like me. I'm looking at possibly shutting down because I can't pay my bills, and yet 4,000 people can show up and support us and do it safely.
People come to me and they'll say things like, well, we have socialism in the form of police and the fire department and our schools, and that's not socialism, that's social. Two very important differences. Social is what we as human beings do to build and create things. We work it together. Socialism is where it's done by force. That's what socialism is. One of the brilliant contributions of our founding fathers is they understood human nature. They understood how we behave and act in a time of crisis and fear and concern. That's when this mentality that we can call socialism today, or we can call authoritarianism or tyranny, that's when those forces move in and take over. It's in a state of crisis and fear. An instance of a pandemic, for example, or some other crisis, the government's job, we gave it the job to protect us. That's one of their main things. And when we think of protection, we often think militarily, we think of the common defense, but it's more than that. It's to protect our property ownership. It's to protect our human rights. It's to protect our ability to acquire, develop, and dispose of property, to associate with who we want to. It's to protect our right of self-defense, but also our right to fail, to try something and fail, to be free, to buy, to sell. All these elements of free choice, our government is supposed to protect. So in the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson makes this interesting statement that we have these rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we establish governments to secure these rights. That means protect. So if life is supposed to be protected, what do you do when there's a pandemic? Where does tyranny and the proper role of government intersect? So that's the problem we get faced with. Socialism moves in at that intersection. When we find ourselves choosing security over freedom, or security over liberty, or security over a temporary loss of our rights, we are embracing these characteristics of socialism. And it's not necessarily under the flag of, hey, I'm a socialist, I'm going to take over. No, it's the human nature approach. Give me the power and I will lead you to safety. That's what Hitler did. Give me the power. And they did. So we look at a pandemic and we say, okay, have we allowed certain freedoms to slip away? Well, we've given our government the trust to save lives, and the government responds by saying, the little stores, the mom and pop stores where you just have single people, it's just little on Main Street, we got to shut those down. The big stores can stay open because, hey, that serves a lot of people, but the little stores, no. See, that's when the authority of government leaves securing our right to life and it moves into controlling our lives.
This whole thing with the church, with our churches, has really bothered me a lot. Here you have places like Walmart and Home Depot and big corporations that they're allowed as much business as they want. And everybody is corralling to them. They're just corralling them to a few places. But they're shutting down churches. So you going to Walmart is more essential. Oh, and the liquor store. And making sure that you have your abortion done. Those are all essential. So you can go to Walmart, you can go to Home Depot, you can go to the liquor store, you can get your abortion, but you can't go to church. I see this article come out from KSL News that said, the state of Utah and the health department will allow to go to church, but you must social distance. Here you have the dictators of our state saying we're going to allow you to go to church. And that fired me up because they do not have the authority to give permission for anyone to go to church. And so I had the idea to do a spiritual revival. Not on the same grounds that we're going to believe theologically the same, but that our rights are given from our Creator, not government. And I knew that it was the right thing to do.
A spiritual revival, a way for people of all religious beliefs to come together and exercise their First Amendment rights.
I want you guys to understand that both faith and fear are based on the unknown.
I would like to defend the rights of my Christian and Mormon and religious brothers and sisters to believe as they believe.
This is not only impermissible, it's entirely unconstitutional.
Here in America, in God we still trust.
Actually, you're like a brother to me. And as Eric said, we don't agree on a lot of things, but we agree on the important things. We both love God, we both love our country, we both love our families, and we both believe how important it is to listen to each other.
We are one!
And the fact is, no matter how we worship Him, we all have to come together.
As we have just experienced, religious freedom can quickly be swept aside in the name of protecting other societal interests. But often religious organizations and their services were simply deemed non-essential. COVID-19 has alerted us to the importance of defending the borders between personal liberty, constitutional rights, and governmental authority. COVID-19 has alerted us to many attacks on the freedoms of religion, speech, and assembly. Gathering, in short, is at the core of faith and religion. Indeed, if the faithful are not gathering, sooner or later they will begin to scatter. And because gathering lies at the very heart of religion, the right to gather lies at the very heart of religious freedom. While believers in their religious organizations must be good citizens in a time of crisis, we cannot allow government officials to treat the exercise of religion as simply non-essential.
We all started to catch on and say, well, if this is as deadly and as dangerous and as contagious, we would all have it. Doctors, nurses, everyone pulling their mask down so we can breathe. Everyone. You know, you'd be in rounds and you'd see the doctors pulling their masks down. We would all pull our masks down. We'd get in our little cubby to start charting. Down came the mask. And like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? And you think it's deadly and horrible, or you want people to die. It wasn't, well, I respect your opinion, I see you. It was like, you want people to die, is what the nurses said. And I was sitting there and listening. Like, you want to take care of patients who have COVID, but you wish that everyone who isn't wearing a mask gets COVID and dies. And that became the narrative pretty much everywhere. They would not take you into the operating room with a positive test. And I just said, are you kidding me? Like, do you think these people who are waiting for organs care if this person has COVID or not? They're like, it's policy, we can't do it. People are dying. There were people dying waiting for organs, perfect healthy organs. We'll transplant people with all kinds of diseases, infectious diseases, because the recipient is willing to take it over dying from organ failure. They do transplant HIV. They do. They would take an organ with hepatitis, but they wouldn't transplant anyone with COVID, which is, as we know now, like a flu. It just blew me away. I could not believe it. I was horrified. And we were told, don't say anything to anyone, we don't want this out in the community.
But then you were told that you weren't seeing it.
Yes. Yeah. Why? Why are we keeping this a secret? Why aren't we enraged? Why aren't we going out to the public and saying, do you realize that people are not receiving needed organs? They wouldn't do it if they were even suspected. They would not even go to the operating room until they have a negative test, which is so crazy because now we know that the testing has been faulty and ineffective. You just start to think there's something more behind this. We've seen people who have died. We get it. There are also people who go through the same thing with the flu. We need to be out. We need to be interacting. We need to be touching. We need to be hugging. We need to be showing emotion. I mean, everything that we've been told to do goes against promoting a healthy immune system. Everything.
This guy comes up to me and he has a book. It's his business. Well, he opens up his book and it's stages, you know, like music stages, like big concert stages. He's like, this is what I do, but you know, we're shut down. And then I looked at the book and I saw the stage and I was like, we're gonna have a concert.
That rally's over, but that message is not. And they have a few more things up their sleeve.
I think I text Colin Ray.
So I used to be on a country music record label, Evander Holyfield, the only 4-time heavyweight champ of the world. And I opened up for Country Music Hall of Fame, Colin Ray, 15 plus years ago.
And I just said, hey buddy, I've got an idea, give me a call. So we get on the phone. And I said, kind of a crazy idea, but how do you feel about being the first concert in America since COVID? And he sat there for a second, he said, brother, I'm in.
Headed up by the Utah Business Revival, and Colin has said he hopes this concert will inspire similar events in other states all over the country.
We did a call to action for another mayor to step up to hold this concert, and Mayor Katie Witt said that she would do it.
I knew right away that I had to do this. If we just wait until it's absolutely risk-free to give people back their rights, then we have lost the point.
And Katie at the time was running for Congress. And she was nervous, you know, because she felt like it was the right thing to do. But she was nervous at the backlash. So then she goes to her city council. She's like, I just got to get it passed off with the city council before we make an announcement. All of them said, yeah, let's do it. One of them, she says to Katie Witt, she says, oh my gosh, I love Colin Ray. This is awesome. Katie Witt calls me back and says, my city council's in. Let's make the announcement. Well, within about a 24-hour period, everything changed.
Some are calling it patriotic. Others say it's irresponsible.
Controversy is growing over a live concert planned in open defiance of Utah's COVID-19 restrictions.
Well, tonight, the mayor of Kaysville is explaining why she's...
Now there's this huge controversy, and the city council is now turning on Mayor Katie Witt, saying we never knew about this. So I talked to two of them, And I said, hold on, did you say that you would do this? Like, did Katie Witt tell you that this was Colin Ray? And did you say yes? And she said, well, yeah, but I didn't think it would be this big. And I said, what did you think? What did you think was gonna happen when a man with 16 #1 hits in country music coming to Utah is gonna come and do a free concert? What did you think was gonna happen? Well, I just didn't know. I said, this is your fault. This is your fault. And that's unfair that you did this to her. The huge backlash came, and we were the worst people in the world because we were gonna kill Grandma.
Tonight, more backlash for the mayor of Kaysville.
Holding a concert at this park is considered breaking the law.
It's actually the most patriotic thing we can be doing right now.
Organizers say they have about 65 businesses lined up to be there.
A concert that could have 10,000 people. You don't do that.
The Kaysville City Council say they are planning to take action.
I ask for you to resign.
Within 3 months from March to when we were going to do our concert, would you ever have thought that by helping save small businesses, listening to country music and gathering was going to be the most radical thing in America? The next day, Lagoon opens up.
Lagoon Amusement Park opening its doors today.
That they'll continue to check with the state guidelines.
Which is an amusement park, the biggest amusement park in Utah, which is a couple miles from Kaysville. They didn't say a word about that. So then the city council, they decided to write this internal letter that they were going to release as a press release. And I saw it, and they didn't release it, but I saw what it said. And it said, we will take any measure possible to stop this. We will turn off the power. We will prosecute. We will turn on the sprinklers. So within 24 hours, we went from, oh my gosh, we love Colin Ray, to we're gonna turn sprinklers on him. It just goes to show that what political pressure will do to people, especially a city council. Like, what? Like, this is how much power these people think they have? They're not standing on principle. They're not standing on what's right. They're doing what looks right to the people that are the loudest in their ear. That's one of the reasons why we're in such a mess, is because these politicians, the people that are supposed to be representing us, all they're doing is representing their best interests for their office. I saw there was another guy in Tooele County, Jason Manning, that has an amphitheater.
The Constitution's there to protect Americans, and it doesn't go on pause because there's an emergency or a pandemic. It just don't. That's not the way freedom works.
That's where we got to do the concert. And he said, yep, let's do it. Because his property is made for 10,000 people. It's already scheduled for it. It already has the permits for 10,000 people to come.
The Utah Business Revival says it is now moving the very controversial Colin Ray concert on May 30th from Kaysville over to Grantsville.
Well, then County Commissioner Sean Milne steps in and starts making tweets. I didn't know about this. Okay. Yeah, you didn't know about it because it doesn't, who cares? Why does a county commissioner need to know about a concert on a private property? Which brings up another question, why government should be involved in any of this stuff to begin with. This is a private property. This is a concert in America listening to music and saving small businesses. He gets the county attorney involved, and they proceed to put an injunction on us, to go to the courts and put some kind of an order that the concert's going to be shut down. And so they serve Manning with these papers, and they send me an email that there's a hearing all of a sudden. I couldn't even believe it. So now I'm sitting in this hearing, listening to these people talk about how we're going to cause irreparable harm and damage to the people of Utah and to the people of Tooele because of COVID-19.
People get sick and die.
When there hadn't even been one death in Tooele. Not even one person had died from this. As the hearing's going and we're getting ready for it, I get this text message from one of my friends that said, hey, did you know that Tooele County is hosting a racing event right now on their complex? So I looked it up and found out that it was true. That Tooele County, they were hosting their own event on their own property where vendors are coming and thousands of people are gathered to do this big event. A lot of money is coming to the county. So we brought that up in court.
The attorney also brought up that Tooele County gave the green light to another event with hundreds of people this weekend.
As the judge is literally issuing an injunction saying that we are going to cause irreparable damage, Tooele County's having an event where thousands of people are gathered, maskless, not social distancing. And so they issued the order.
Will a controversial country concert be moving forward in Tooele County tomorrow?
A judge has decided it cannot.
I was on a show, I was on one of the local radio shows. And she said, the host said, Eric, you're a former policeman. Are you ready to go to jail for this? I don't want to go to jail. I've taken hundreds of people to jail. But then when I thought about it, yeah, I would. I would go to jail for this because it means that much to me.
The health department there actually said that they could file charges against the property owner.
They bullied the Mannings. And he called me and he said, hey, we're not going to do it. And I understood because this is their business, you know. But I was so distraught because here we have over 100 businesses that have signed up. We have, I don't know how many food trucks, maybe 15 food trucks that were already getting set up that night. And they had to pack up. And these are food trucks that have been hit the hardest. That was a really sad night because Colin Ray came in to rehearse. During the rehearsal is when Manning called and said we can't do it. And so his entire band is now here, rehearsing. I was so hurt. I was sad. I was angry. And then Colin Ray said, let's not quit. Let's do this again. That night, I was like, what are we gonna do? Because the judge said, we're not gonna issue a permit for over 1,000 people. That next morning, we walked in and we did the call to action for that night in Tooele. My call to action was to get 1,001.
We're in Tooele County right now. We're at an incredible event where there's literally thousands of people here. Can you guys say hi?
That's all I wanted. I wanted 1,001 people to come to take over a park in Tooele County. And so we did.
Hey everybody, we are going to go to a place called Benson Grist Mill. Benson Grist, G-R-I-S-T Mill.
I have faith that the Constitution will be saved as prophesied, but it will not be saved in Washington. It will be saved by citizens of this nation who love and cherish freedom.
Over 2,500 people came that night. And Sean Milne, the county commissioner, showed up and was writing names down of who was there. Right? His election was coming up. The people of Tooele woke up and they voted him out. It was phenomenal. I said, hey, Sean Milne, you should have had that concert, buddy. I said, I'll make sure to send you a Colin Ray CD so as you're packing up your office, you can listen to all 16 #1 hits. So then I got a call from Paul Cousins, the Iron County commissioner. And he said, Eric, we're gonna do it in Iron County. We're gonna do it in 2 weeks.
My next call was to my fellow commissioners, and I asked them about if they'd support me in that effort, and they said, sure, let's do it.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Obviously, you feel pressure with these decisions, right? But these are events that really saved our businesses in Iron County. They wouldn't have made it, I don't think.
Got the permit I don't know if you guys saw it, but...
So I told Colin Ray right there and his whole band, I'm like, can you guys come back in 2 weeks? He said, yeah, we'll come back. We're not gonna quit.
The controversial Colin Ray concert has found a home, finally. Iron County commissioners and the sheriff's office have been making plans for a big crowd at the concert tomorrow night.
So we went from Kaysville to Grantsville, Tooele, and then we were going down to Iron County. The actual concert in Iron County, the wind was unbelievable. And this was like really, really strong wind. The flags were almost ripping. I mean, the people setting up the stage, they could only bring it up like 10 feet because the wind was so much that if they would have brought it up, the wind would have flipped it. And so we gathered together and we prayed. Because he said we only have an hour to either put the stage up or not. Within the hour, everything started dying down after we said our prayers. And as the concert started, it was like the wind was gone.
We heard that the one and only was showing up to throw the first concert in the country. And I thought I knew Utah. After seeing all this energy and everybody supporting small business, you are an amazing, amazing community. You support one another. You have probably one of the greatest states I think you do have one of the greatest states in the country. You got to give it up. You're getting it first before anybody in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, stand up, get loud, get proud. Love our country. This is Colin Ray. Here we go.
Oh, how fast can I go? I gotta catch that little red rodeo. She's trouble.
This is way more than a concert here, folks. You know, this is a celebration of our freedom. There's a lot of people in the world that want us to stay in fear all the time. And that's how they can implement what they want to implement and whatnot, is by keeping us afraid. But what this here is all about is people that are not afraid and not buying it. And I think there's more of us than there is of them. Beautiful night, God is with us, and He's happy we're here. I kind of feel like I've done a lot of things in my career and played a lot of shows, but I've kind of felt like it's the most important show we've ever done, you know, and so thank you.
If tomorrow all the things were gone I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause that flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. They're trying, but they're not gonna do it. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Woo! Oh, sing it with me then. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, there should be pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say it loud. Come on. That I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the God bless this USA.
That's what I'm talking about. At times it looked like they were going to pull the plug on us, but here we are. It's still happening. It's still happening. Would you please make welcome my dear friend, Mr. Eric Mutzos, right here, the man behind this whole thing.
Because I do not sing like Colin Ray, so if you need a break, please. But isn't it great that he just opened up for me? You guys didn't know? When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy. Don't ever play with guns. Well, I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. When I hear that whistle blowing, I hang my head and cry. Iron County, let's hear it! Solid as a stone, baby, wait and see. I got just one small problem here in Little Rock. Without you, baby, I'm not me.
I know why I held it all inside. Give it up for her. You must have thought I never even tried. You know, your daddy, he told me when I left. He said, Jesus would forgive, but a daddy don't forget. And I think I'm on a roll here in Little Rock. I'm solid as a stone, baby, wait and see. I got just one small problem here in Little Rock. Girl, without you, baby, I'm not me. No, without you, baby, I'm not me. But I think I'm on a roll here in Little Rock. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear friend, Mr. Eric Mutzos, give it up for him. Awesome. We would not be here without him. Thank y'all so much for being here and for sticking around. What a beautiful evening.
Great job. What do you think?
The police across the country are doing a phenomenal job, and it's a lie when the media says that. And so today this is a celebration. Today this is a celebration for the men and women that put their lives on the line every single day. Today, it's a celebration.
All right, Tim.
Hey, Mr. Holyfield. It's in Ballard.
Evander, the real deal, Holyfield.
Please give it up for Tim Ballard.
These kids do not want the mask on their face. And over 600,000 students in Utah are not okay with this.
Herbert and Cox chose to extend draconian restrictions that have devastated tens of thousands of Utah businesses at
What we're finding, or what we found, is that this virus is incredibly intelligent. This mutation, it's amazing because it knows how to jump over places like Lagoon, where there's an amusement park where people are now on roller coasters, but it'll land on a concert where we're outside. The virus just jumps over that and it kills everybody there. But over here it's okay because the county's making a lot of money. It can jump over Walmart, it can jump over Home Depot, it can jump over the governor's gala, and he's up there dancing around, where he charged $2,500 a plate to hang out with him. He tweeted it out, why he was doing it. We need this status for federal funding. So, in other words, he's selling Utah and all of our kids down the river to receive federal funding for a cold virus. And Spencer Cox, back in June, he said it himself. Masks should not be mandatory. That's not the proper role of government. What changed? Did science change? I would say political science changed. He won his election. That's what changed. The rules are for thee, not for me. This is the same person. But when it comes to your small business, your non-essential business, doesn't matter.
The governor has issued an executive order.
Governor Herbert gave a series of directives that he says he expects all Utahns to follow.
And Governor Gary Herbert facing criticism tonight for pictures that appear to show him not following health precautions.
I had recognized Governor Herbert earlier on in the evening, so I just kind of kept my eye on him because of all the extended state of emergencies, all the mandates. I noticed him take his mask off towards the end of the night. You can see in the video there were lots of people who came up on stage. He was shaking hands with them, just mingling, you know, amongst dozens of people. He says 5 minutes, it was probably 20 or 30 minutes. And I've personally known 3 people who committed suicide in July because of the restrictions. You're resented. You're resented by all of us.
History is known by the people that fought against those trying to take away freedom. I mean, all the heroes that I have from history, the people I look up to, the men that I want to be like, to surround myself with, are those men that stood up to tyranny. And they say, well, you don't have any heart for the people that are dying. It's like, no, you do. But we do things every single day where we have risk of death. While I value health and while I value these other things, I value freedom above everything.
This is what is happening in the United States of America to scare you, to make you believe that your God is coming up short. You must wake up your brothers and sisters now. God needs you now.
2020 has been a horrible year for the kids. You know this? Our politicians, our leaders are making decisions and they're not considering the children. Did you know that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children reported 6 million additional reports of child sex abuse originating online? 6 million more than last year, at least that. And do you know why that is? Because we decided to shut down all the infrastructure that keeps kids safe. What is a bigger threat? A virus with a 99.9% survivability rate, or the trade-off, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of children that are going to be sexually assaulted? That's a certain trade-off.
Groups like Facebook and Twitter, they're registered as a platform with the government. So the government gives them special protections as being a platform. What they're doing is they are now taking information that they don't like and they're censoring it. And that's not a platform, that's now a publisher. It's equivalent as a cell phone company, say Verizon. They come in and they don't like what you say, so they drop your calls. Every call that they don't like, they take your contacts, delete them all. That's the same thing what's happening to all these groups.
The Justice Department is looking at whether Facebook and Twitter are intentionally stifling the free exchange of ideas.
I had my accounts all shut down. Never told me why.
That is censorship.
No results from Tulsi Gabbard's channel.
Too many voices are being destroyed.
So I tweeted out, it got no life. Was I shadow banned?
And it is inevitable that there will be a political angle to that censorship.
So Saturday morning, the Utah Business Revival page was completely taken off of Facebook, wiped out. No notice, no alert. We had no idea what happened. 25,000 people completely gone. And so I sent a message to Kim Coleman, who is my representative, and she sent a message to U.S. Senator Mike Lee, who has been grilling, along with Ted Cruz, Jack Dorsey from Twitter, Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook.
Who the hell elected you and put you in charge of what the media are allowed to report and what the American people are allowed to hear?
I just want to be clear. I'm just asking you if you can name for me one high-profile liberal person or company who you've censored. One name of one person or one entity.
Senator, I need to think about it.
Apparently, Mark Zuckerberg and Mike Lee have been going back and forth personally on their cell phones about this. And so Mike Lee contacted
Mark Zuckerberg on his phone, and within 2 hours we were restored. Mark Zuckerberg told Mike Lee that our group, it was an error, that we should not have been taken down. And so, incredible miracle what happened for us, but the hundreds, if not thousands, of conservative groups that are being taken down, it's not only immoral, but it's un-American, and it needs to stop. If we cannot have different ideas, then we've lost America. Mike Lee, thank you so much.
And so why I'm hopeful is because if we can bring God back into this, that's how we're going to be saved.
Light always wins in the end.
That's the only way. We can't do it alone. And that's one of the reasons why we're in such a mess, is because we've taken him out of the equation.
And nothing surprises God. It's already written. It's already been done from the beginning to the end. And so we're just now part of that story.
We're afraid to talk about religion. We're afraid to talk about politics because we don't want to offend people.
And so we need to be the light, and faith is action in what we believe. And that's how we win, because we become the light and we become action. We just start moving and doing and praying.
And those are the two things that are the most important, or is our faith and our civic duties to keep our country free. And we cannot do that without prayer.
And when we receive thoughts, we do it. And we stay tight, we stay true to ourselves, we stay true to our families, our neighborhoods, our communities. And that's how we win. Because then we'll get heaven's help from up above when we can't do it ourselves. And that's how this country was born, and that's how this country needs to be reborn.
And I believe that he sent people at this time to stand up. If you felt that like stirring inside of you to do something, it's because he sent you to do it. He sent you.